continuation of the discredited attempt to evade responsibility for the economic atrocities that have led us to this depressing point. While they engage in vainglory, Ghanaians have to deal with the deadly consequences of a collapsed economy. And brothers and sisters, the true state of our nation is well known to all of us. As the legendary Bob Marley noted in one of his songs, "He who feels it knows it best." There has, however, been an effort by this administration while fleeing from responsibility. We in the NDC, only viable government, deem it necessary to straighten the records and expose the untruths presented to the nation through Parliament by President Akufo-Addo, and to highlight that our desired state is self-inflicted and deliberately so by this government. We are certain in our minds and believe same to be true for all objectives of debt to GDP ratio that was 56% in 2016 now stands at 103% in governance. It must be underscored that the president and his economic management or mismanagement team actively colluded with the Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, for the latter to benefit directly from these borrowings through numerous transaction fees and schemes and scams from the bonds. It must be underscored that the president and his economic management have a look or mismanagement team actively colluded with the Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, for the latter to benefit directly from these borrowings and scams. Despite being the luckiest and most resource government in Ghana's history, the Akufo-Addo MPP government has the least to show in terms of socio-economic development. That will shortly be shown. This is because the MPP has used all your money mainly for consumption. My brothers and sisters, this is contrary to the present claim that his government has used large amounts of the monies we borrowed on roads and construction. MPP government has the least to show in terms of socio-economic development. The president knows the MPP has used deliberately misled Ghanaians with this claim, because he is aware that only a minute amount of the overall resource envelope that has accrued to his government since 2017 has been used for the construction and rehabilitation of roads in this country. The truth is that only an abysmal 1.6% of the total resource envelope of 820 billion Ghana cedis has been spent on roads by this government. Has been used. Official government of Ghana records show that a whopping 93%. The truth is that only an abysmal billion Ghana cedis has been spent on the total resource envelope of including 820 billion 20,000 euros an hour has been spent on roads by this government. Official government of Ghana records show that a whopping 93% of the 820 billion that the president will classify routine minor road repairs such as including reshaping, 20,000 euros an hour, regraving, private jet, and even the silting of gutters as new road construction at the expense of taxpayers. The claim that this government has constructed over 11,000 kilometers of new roads is false and should be completely disregarded. Filling, the president should and even the silting of gutters as new road construction. Apart from the unsustainable debt of the country, has constructed the budget deficit, which stood at 6.1% in 2016, now stands at a whopping 12%. The president at the watch of the Baumia economic management team. This is after it rose to an unprecedented high of 15.7%
debt
in 2020
of the country,
owing to the reckless
the budget deficit,
election-driven
which stood at
spending
6.1% in 2016,
per government's own figures.
The
rate of inflation, which stood at 15.4%
of the
as of
December
December 2016, now stands
This
at
is
a
after
hyper
it rose to an unprecedented high of
52%
15.7%
and rising.
in 2020, owing to the reckless election-driven spending
rate
of the
that
government.
stood at 25% on average in the year
own
2016
The rate
now
of
stands
inflation
between
which stood at
38% and
15.4%
45%.
as of December 2016,
Whilst exchange rate
now
depreciation that
at a
stood at
hyper rate
9.6% for the year 2016
52%
now stands at
and rising.
23% for the first 2 months of
The
this year
lending
alone.
rate that
This is
stood at
after the CD
25%
depreciated
on
by
average
over
in the year
54%
2016,
in the
now
first
stands
11
between
months of last year,
38% and
2022,
45%.
making it
Whilst
the worst
exchange rate
performing currency
depreciation
in
that
the world.
stood at 9.6% for the
From
year
a stable
2016,
credit rating
now
of B-
stands at
in
23%
2016
for the
under
first
the
2
NDC
months
Mahama
of this
administration,
year alone.
Ghana's economy has been
This is after
downgraded
the
by
CD
all credit
depreciated
rating
by
agencies
of last
to
year,
below junk
2022,
status,
making
owing
it
largely
the
to the
worst
country's
performing
default
currency.
on its debt obligations. Again,
From a
the
stable
watch
credit rating of B- in 2016 under the NDC
after
Mahama
supervising an
administration,
increase
Ghana's
in the
economy
rate of
has been
unemployment
downgraded by all credit
from
rating agencies
8.4%
to
as
below
at
junk
2016
status, owing largely
14%
the
in
country's
2021.
default on its debt
The
obligations.
Baumia-led economic management
Again,
team
under the watch
has now placed a total freeze on
Dr.
public sector
Baumia.
employment. The
After
amount
supervising an increase
U-Start
in
program
the rate of unemployment
that was supposed to be a
from
$1 billion
8.4%
investment
as at
in
2016
youth startups,
14% in 2021. The Baumia-led economic management team has now placed a total freeze.
These
on public
debilitating
sector
conditions, in addition
The
to
amount
high tax
touted
payments, high
in
import
U-Start
duties,
program
and the draconian debt
that was
restructuring
supposed to
program
be
of
a
government,
$1 billion
are suffocating the
investment
private sector,
in youth
leading to the
startups
collapse of
to
many
create jobs
businesses
has also turned out to be
and loss of
another
jobs,
spectacular
such that
scam.
5 foreign construction firms, namely
These debilitating
Contractor,
conditions, in addition to high
Hydro,
tax payments, high
Rolida,
import duties,
Amandi,
and the draconian
and Via
debt
Bell,
restructuring
who are
program
working
of
on
government,
various foreign
are suffocating the
funded
private
projects in
sector,
the country,
leading
have
to the
laid
collapse
off
of many
thousands
businesses
of Ghanaian workers in the last.
and loss of jobs, such that
Ladies and gentlemen,
5 foreign
the
construction
destruction
firms,
of the economy
namely
by the Akufo-Addo
Contractor,
Baumia MPP government
Hydro,
permeates every sector
Rolida,
of the nation.
Amandi, and Via
For
Bell,
instance,
who are working on
growth
various
rate
foreign
of the
funded
agriculture sector
projects in the country
has seen a
have laid
decline
off
from
thousands of
2.7%
Ghanaian
in
workers
2016
in the last few months.
to
Ladies and gentlemen,
0.7%
the
in
destruction
2022.
of the economy by the Akufo-Addo Baumia MPP government
And
permeates
say,
every sector
This is
of
the
the
harvest from
For
the
instance,
planting for food and
growth
jobs
rate
program,
of the agriculture sector
which has received
has
billions
seen a
of
decline
taxpayer.
from 2.7% in 2016
Similarly,
to
the growth rate for the manufacturing sector
0.7%
has also declined
in
from
2020.
7.9% in
I would say
2016
this
to
is the harvest
4.5% in 2022,
from the planting
thereby
for
calling
and
into
jobs
question
program,
the impact of
which
the
has
much
received
vaunted
billions of
1B,
taxpayer
1F
and donor
program.
funds. Similarly,
Further,
the growth
rate for the construction sector has also declined from 8.4% in 2016 to 4.2% in 2022, despite
thereby
government
calling
claim
into
about
question
borrowing to build
the
roads
impact of the
and
much
other
vaunted
infrastructure.
1D, 1F program.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Further,
this
the
is
growth
the
rate
true
for the
state
construction sector
foundation.
has also declined from 8.4% in 2016 to 4.2%
It is evidence
in 2022.
for all to see
Despite government
that
claim
boastful
about borrowing
and lofty
to build
rhetoric
roads
is not the same as competence. Quite to the contrary.
Ladies and gentlemen,
with the MPP, empty sloganeering is their way to hide their lack of appreciation. Never again,
evidence
and hopefully
for all to see,
Ghanaians permit themselves to be tormented by a group of boastful persons who feel self-entitled to misgovern.
With the MPP,
let us not underrate what it means for our collective sanity when a president has an uncomfortable relationship with the truth. Constantly shifts blame
to be tormented by a group of boastful persons who feel self-entitled to misgovern.
My brothers and sisters, whereas the president
not underrate what it
maybe
means
because of the severity of the present difficulties,
when a president
or maybe because it suits their
uncomfortable
preconceived agenda. Some people are unwilling to accept that
constantly
we are on a good trajectory
and
until the
conveniently
arrival of
avoid
COVID-19.
difficult topics.
Nothing
My brothers and
could be
sisters,
further from the truth.
whereas the president asserts
Ghanaians want
maybe
relief
because of the
from the
severity of the present
socio-economic pain and
difficulties,
hardship
or maybe
visited on them
because
by
it
the
suits their
MPP administration
preconceived agenda.
and not
Some
flimsy
people are unwilling
excuses.
to accept that we are on
Ghanaians want a government that will be truthful,
trajectory
even in
until the
difficult
arrival
times,
of COVID-19.
and listen to them in humility.
Nothing could be further.
Incontrovertible facts show that Ghana's economy showed signs of serious
Ghanaians want relief from the
challenges even
socio-economic
before
pain and
COVID-19
hardship
struck.
visited on them
The point
by
that
the
was
MPP
made
administration
by
and
the
not
country
flimsy
director of
excuses.
the World Bank, Mr. Pierre.
Ghanaians want a
Rapport.
government that will be truthful, even in
For
difficult
instance,
times, and
Way
listen to
before
them
the
in
first
humility.
case of COVID-19 was recorded in Ghana in March
Incontrovertible facts
2020.
show that
The
Ghana's
public debt
economy
had
showed
increased
signs
from
of
120
serious
billion in 2016 to
challenges
225 billion in
by the country
2019,
director
representing
of the
an
World
increase
Bank,
of
Mr. Pierre
105 billion
Rapport.
in the country's debt stock.
For instance,
COVID was
way
nowhere.
before the first case of COVID-19 was
Ukraine
recorded in
and
Ghana
Russia
in March
had not
2020.
even thought about
The public debt had increased from 120 billion in 2016 to 225
Our debt to
billion
GDP
in
ratio
2019,
had increased from
representing an
56%
increase of
in 2016
105
to
billion
about
in the country's
70%
debt
in
stock.
2019. That
COVID
is
was
including
nowhere.
the ESLA, Dachi, and other hidden debt.
Ukraine and Russia had not
Before
even thought
COVID-19,
about fighting.
the debt servicing amount had increased from 11
Our debt to
billion
GDP
in
ratio
2016
had
to
increased from
37 billion
56% in
in
2016
2019
to about
and
70%
constituted
in
91%
2019.
of
That
tax
is
revenue.
including the ESLA, Dachi, and other
There was
hidden
no COVID,
debts.
no Ukraine and Russia.
Before COVID-19, the debt servicing
was still alive.
amount had increased
And
from
no
11
earthquake in Turkey.
billion in 2016 to
Also, the
37
budget
billion
deficit
in
had
2019.
exceeded the legally acceptable threshold
91%
of
tax
5%
revenue.
and had hit 7.5% in 2018
No Ukraine and Russia,
and 7%
And
in 2019.
the
There was
Queen
no
was
COVID.
still alive.
Again,
And
before COVID-19,
no earthquake.
the
in
Ghana
Turkey.
CD in 2019 was
Also,
plummeting
the
in
budget
double
deficit
digits,
had exceeded
leading to the
legally
setting up of a
acceptable
40-member committee
of 5%
by the government to
and has
investigate
hit
the causes of
7.5%
the
in
alarming
2018
depreciation of the national
and
currency.
7% in 2020.
Surprisingly, the committee
was no COVID.
excluded the chairman of the economic
Again,
management,
before COVID-19,
a move
the Ghana
described by
CD in
many
2019
analysts as a
was
vote of no
plummeting in
confidence
double
in the
digits,
competence of his
leading to the
Vice
setting up of a
President
40-member
Mahmoud Bawumia
committee
by
the
own
government to investigate the causes
In
of
fact,
the alarming depreciation of
Per
the
paragraph
national currency.
61,
Surprisingly,
government's
the
own
committee excluded
2020
the
media
chairman of the
budget
economic
review
management team.
statement.
A move
I beg to
described by many analysts
In
as
the
a vote
year
of no
to
confidence
December
in the
2019,
competence of
the
His
Ghana
Excellency
CD
Vice
cumulative
President
depreciated by
Mahmoud
12.9%
Bawumia
against
by
the US
his
dollar,
own.
compared with 8.4%
In fact,
depreciation in 2018.
Paragraph
Against the
61
British pound,
of this government's own
the Ghana cedi
2020 mid-year budget review
depreciated by 15.7%
I beg to quote.
and 12% respectively,
In the year
compared with
to December 2019,
and
the Ghana cedi cumulative depreciated by 12.9% against the US dollar, compared with 8.4%
far from being the cause of
in
economic
2018.
collapse.
Against the British pound and euro, the Ghana cedi cumulatively depreciated by 15.7% and 12% respectively, compared with 3.3% and 3.9% over the same period in 2018.
This amount excludes the proceeds from the obnoxious COVID-19 levy, which Ghanaians
brought the Akufo-Addo government an unprecedented windfall of about 30 billion Ghana cedis.
Only 11.7% of this amount was spent on government COVID-19, with the remainder of about 18 billion being channeled into so-called
levy
budget,
which Ghanaians continue to pay.
There is no gainsaying the fact that the coronavirus pandemic affected all countries in the world, including our next door neighbors, Benin, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, and Nigeria. Whereas these countries manage their resources prudently, thereby recording deficits below 8%.
There is no gainsaying
and debt to GDP ratios of below 65%. The Akufo-Addo government borrowed excessively and spent recklessly for election purposes, thereby recording a disastrous deficit of 15.7%
whereas these countries manage their resources prudently,
ratio of about 80%,
thereby recording deficit below 8%. And that
it is instructive to note that in the year 2020, when COVID was at its peak, all our neighbors recorded a budget deficit of less than 8%.
For election purposes,
Burkina Faso recorded a deficit of 5.7%. Cote d'Ivoire recorded a deficit of 5.6%. Nigeria recorded a deficit of 5.8%.
It is instructive to note that in the year 2020, when
Ghana alone recorded
all our neighbors recorded a budget deficit of less than 8%.
Because of the reckless election-driven expenses and wastage the Akufo-Addo MPP government engaged.
Nigeria recorded a deficit
My
of
brothers and sisters,
5.8%, and
did
Senegal
COVID-19 affect Ghana any more than it did?
But Ghana alone recorded a deficit.
How come none of these countries who were all affected by the pandemic are recording double-digit deficits
and wastage the
and
Akufo-Addo
high debt to
MPP
GDP ratio
government engaged
of over
in?
100%?
My brothers
How
and
come none
sisters,
of these countries are
did
recording inflation
COVID-19
rates of over
affect Ghana
50%
any
like that?
more than it did?
How
to
come
our
none of this has defaulted
How come none
on
of these
their debt
countries who
repayment?
were all affected by
How
the
can none
pandemic
of them
are recording double
has been downgraded to junk status and have been locked
high
out
debt
of
to
the
GDP
international
ratio
capital market?
of over 100%?
How come none of these countries are visiting cruel financial haircuts on their citizens,
on their debt
including
repayment?
pensioners?
How
How
come
come
none
none
of
of these countries are experiencing
have
childhood
been downgraded
vaccine
to junk status
shortages?
and have been locked out of the
To
international
paraphrase
capital market?
Dr. Baumia,
How come none of
how did
these countries are
COVID-19
going
jump
through
from
a
Nigeria,
domestic
jump
debt
over
restructuring?
Nigeria, Benin,
How
Cote
come none
d'Ivoire,
of these
and other
countries are
neighbors of
visiting
ours to
cruel
attack and
financial
destroy
haircuts on their
only
citizens,
Ghana's
including
economy?
pension
That the economic mess we have on our hands has largely been
To
brought about
paraphrase
by the
Dr.
reckless
Baumia,
spending, excessive borrowing,
other neighbors of
and
ours
crash
to
economic
attack and
mismanagement
destroy
by the Baumia
only
economic
Ghana's
management team,
economy.
and not any external factors as
Ladies and
government
gentlemen,
have us believe.
The truth of the matter is that
The last thing that
economic
is
mess
required
we have on our
in
hands
time of
has
crisis
largely been brought about by the reckless
is a leader
spending,
whose
excessive
words
borrowing,
ring hollow
and crash economic mismanagement by the Baumia-led economic
Akufo-Addo
management team,
has proven
and not any
Stephen
external
Levinsky right
factors
when
as
he wrote
government
in his
will have
famous
us
book,
believe.
How Democracies Die.
The last thing that is required, time of crisis,
for a demagogue
is a leader
who feels besieged by critics and shackled by democratic institutions. Crisis open a window of opportunity to silence critics and weaken rivals. External threats offer them a chance to break free.
Who feels besieged by critics and shackled by democratic institutions.
During this crisis,
a window of
nothing the president says
to silence critics
because
and weaken rivals
has proven
indeed
untrue.
Elected autocrats often need
Ghanaians have come to realize that
external threats
the claim by the president that he knew how to revive a dead economy was
and very often legally, unquote, as said, has proven
there will be no haircuts was a scam. The promise to build 88 district hospitals within a year was a scam. Agenda 111 project,
a proud nation. We are
the
not
promise
going
to abolish road tolls was a scam. The promise to convert toll booths into modern, ultra-modern public toilets on our highways.
To build 88 district hospitals within a year.
They claim that there was a global shortage of childhood vaccines.
Agenda 111 project. The promise to
no state funds
tolls
will finance the national cathedral.
Promise to convert toll booths into modern,
designed to fleece the state by
on
the
our
likes
highways.
of Reverend Victor Kusi-Boateng or
They
Kwabena
claim that
Adu-Jemfi,
there was
whichever
a global
sounds
shortage of
better
childhood
to you.
vaccines.
David Ajayi and Kerry Summers.
No state
Ladies and gentlemen,
will finance
another deliberate falsehood peddled by the president in his infamous address was the claim that his government has constructed more NCA licensed fiber optic cables than any other government in the Fourth Republic. We submit that the total of 93% of fiber optic cables the president claimed credit for constitute the greatest telecom scam ever. At least the MPP must give credit to the NDC for providing the 900-kilometer Eastern Corridor fiber optic network running from Ho to Boku with a link from Yendi to Tamale and an extension to the campus of the University of Health and Allied Sciences. The 300-kilometer Accra-Tema Metro fiber, the wireless broadband of 119 4G LTE base station to power the Gota phone system. And let me add, the Ministry of Communication, the National Data Center, the Accra Digital Center, and the National Communications Authority are all housed by NDC constructed edifices. When a president constantly shows such blatant dishonesty, it crashes the accountability mechanism. My brothers and sisters, let me now turn to another very important topic, corruption. President Akufo-Addo's silence on corruption in his infamous address was very loud. It was as loud as his guilt. Evidently, corruption has defeated his family and friends' government. Instead of confronting this canker head-on, President Akufo-Addo has constituted himself into a corruption clearing agent, ever willing to whitewash himself and any of his appointees who dabble in corruption, even before investigative processes commence. The president's action and complicity have emboldened many of his officials, not least his vice president, Alhaji Bawumia, whose name has come up in multiple corruption scandals, such as the PDS scandal, the shady gold for oil deal, the stolen rice scandal, and the famous appearance fee scandal. My brothers and sisters, President Akufo-Addo's misguided declaration that nothing dishonorable was done with the COVID funds adds to the litany of failed attempts to conceal the rot that has left many scandalized following the publication of the special audit report in COVID-19 funds by the Auditor General of Ghana. First, it was the Attorney General. The said report is considered by Parliament. How does President Akufo-Addo reasonably expect Ghanaians to accept as honorable the Auditor General's finding that COVID-19 related payments totaling more than 543 million Ghana cedis were made to various service providers outside of the Ghana Integrated Financial Management Information System in clear violation of Regulation 2378? How? How about the Auditor General's finding that medical equipment valued at nearly 250,000 United States dollars, which were procured with COVID funds and subsequently issued to some specific health facilities, did not reach these health facilities? How? Mr. President, I put it to you that there is everything dishonorable with the finding by the Auditor General that a company known as Modern Security Printers Limited, which was awarded a contract to conduct public education on COVID-19 safety protocols for students at an outrageous cost of 1.5 million Ghana cedis, has been paid in full for no work done. I further put it to you, Mr. President, that there is everything dishonorable with the damning finding by the Auditor General that cash payments totaling almost 12 million Ghana cedis to caterers who provided hot meals during the 3 weeks of partial lockdown were all retired with honor certificates instead of receipts, and that other COVID-19 related payments to caterers totaling 5.6 million Ghana cedis were neither backed by receipts nor honor certificates. Again, I put it to you, Mr. President, that the government management of COVID-19 funds into 37.6 million Ghana cedis by the Ministry of Finance to NGOs and private individual water provided for the provision of so-called free water. Also, cannot be said to be honorable when the Auditor General could not verify bills and validate dubious payments amounting to million Ghana cedis by the Ministry called free water. Also, of the Kojo Opong Nkrumah-led Ministry of Information to line their pockets with COVID funds under the guise of risk allowances meant for frontline health workers. It is the height of cruelty for funds which were meant to save lives during a public health crisis to have been looted and misappropriated in this bizarre manner. Brothers and sisters, despite the desperate attempt by the chief corruption clearing agent to sweep these serious crimes under the carpet, one thing which will tarry for ages to come is how the COVID-19 pandemic became a corruption bonanza and a milking cow for President Akufo-Addo and his officials to cream state resources in the most obscene manner. It should come as little surprise, therefore, that the President has become a clearing agent who actually rewards unscrupulous members of his government with national awards. Instead of the president sacking the serially incompetent Minister for Health, Kwaku Agyeman, he decided to confer national honors on the minister's corruption and included even more corrupt appointees and companies to desecrate the revered national award ceremony. Dr. Nkrumah established this national award scheme with the view to honoring people and institutions that have distinguished themselves in service and sacrifice to propel Ghana's growth and development. Mr. President, our nation's founder, Kwame Nkrumah, did not intend for the national award scheme to honor criminality by cleverly sprinkling and sandwiching a few meritorious awardees among nation records. This year's awards and the inclusion of these shady characters, some of whom are under parliamentary inquiry, can at best be viewed as part of the systemic denigration of our statehood. And I'm happy that some decent awardees never participated in such a scheme. It also reveals the weakened and depraved state of our nation. A nation where those who scrutinize government dubious expenditures are chased out of office as auditor generals, the Domelevos of this world. A nation where journalists who unearth corruption are harassed, intimidated, and sometimes murdered, the Ahmed Swalis of this world. A nation where members of parliament who diligently carry out their constitutional mandate of oversight and expose crimes are persecuted. Samuel Okudzeto, Ablakwas, and Atoforsons of this world. And a nation where those who fight corruption are fought back and are even described as terrorists by the courts. The Anas Arimiyao Anas of this world. On this note, let me urge Ghanaians and the diplomatic community not to be intimidated by the president's unprecedented attack on the German ambassador during his message on the state of the nation in Parliament. We urge all true Democrats to join hands with the National Democratic Congress to resist the suppression of free speech by the Akufo-Addo-Bawumia MPP government. And brothers and sisters, another example of the corrupt schemes under this government is the Jansa energy deal, which is stifling the Ghana Gas Company and may end up collapsing this monumental NDC legacy project. Under this corrupt deal, the government has decided to allow persons known to be affiliated to the MPP to build a private gas plant so GMPC can sell natural gas from our oil fields to them at 1/3 the price at which they sell to Ghana Gas, which is state-owned. The whole idea is to cream off hundreds of millions of dollars in unreasonable and supernormal profit into the pockets of the greedy MPP cronies. As chairman of the NDC, I wish to serve notice that we will vigorously oppose this glaring theft of national resources for private gain. Ladies and gentlemen, the NDC believes institutions must work and the standards must even be higher for independent constitutional bodies that are legally clothed with independence to work independently. This is why we in NDC maintain that the Electoral Commission must abandon its intransigence and listen to wise counsel in order to save Ghana's democracy. Why would the EC insist on making the Ghana card the sole document for registration of voters when the National Identity Registration Law
allows for the guarantor system as an identification mechanism. Why? In the interest of our democracy and development, a Jimensan-led EC should for once agree with the opposition NDC, civil society organizations, and other well-meaning Ghanaians, including the Venerable Dr. Kwadwo Afarijan, Ghana's longest-serving former chairman of the Electoral Commission and foremost authority on electoral issues, who insists that the guarantor system must be maintained in our electoral system. My brothers and sisters, another reason for Ghana's economic collapse is the expenditure on the bloated size of government. As has been revealed by our hard-working members of parliament, between January and September of 2022, the Akufo-Addo-Bawumia presidency wasted the taxpayers' money as follows. The president's operational enhancement expenditure, whatever that means, cost the suffering Ghanaian taxpayer a mind-boggling 59.4 million Ghana cedis. The fuel bills at the president alone cost the taxpayer 51.1 million Ghana cedis. President Akufo-Addo's regional tours last year cost 16.9 million Ghana cedis. Tires and batteries for official vehicles at the presidency alone cost Ghanaians 15 million Ghana cedis. A cabinet retreat, cabinet meeting outside Accra, cost the taxpayer a colossal 4.8 million Ghana cedis. Payment for new vehicles cost the suffering Ghanaian taxpayer 6.5 million after Nana Addo had declared that they will not purchase any new vehicles. Payment for networking and ICT equipment cost the Ghanaian taxpayer 6.6 million Ghana cedis. An amount of 10.4 million was spent on the Independence Day celebration in Cape Coast. 10 million for Independence Day celebration. An amount of 4 million was spent by the Vice President on so-called emergency activities. Whatever that means, nobody knows. Telecommunications and internet services from January to September alone cost the suffering Ghanaian taxpayer a shocking 20 million cedis. And last but not the least, expenditure on office furniture and fittings cost 7 million. Further evidence of the waste of scarce resources can be seen in the many needless political appointees at the presidency. In the midst of the worst economic crisis in living memory, the president continues to make ridiculous and superfluous appointments at the presidency, such as the following. Youth Ambassador for Diaspora Affairs. Policy Associate. Chief Executive of Public Sector Reforms. Overseer of the National Cathedral. Church Relations Manager. Diaspora Church Mobilization Officer. Policy and Coordinator Analyst. Focal Person, La Francophonie. Technical Director, La Francophonie. Coordinator, Special Development Initiative Secretariat. Director of Special Projects. Manager of Operations and Programs. 5 Technical Communication Assistants. Technical Advisor, Zongo Development Authority. 2 technical advisors, Special Development Initiative Secretariat. Technical advisor, Political Affairs. Presidential staffer, NAPCO. Office Management Executive Associate. Technical Director to the Presidential Advisor on Media. And Data Manager. Enough of this disaster of a government that continues to waste the already battered public purse with reckless abandon. We demand an immediate dismissal of these redundant hangers-on at the presidency. In this regard, we wish to advise the Akufo-Addo-Bawumia MPP government to consider the detailed alternative policy proposals put out by former President John Dramani Mahama in his famous address to the nation on building the Ghana we want, which was delivered in this very auditorium on 27th October 2022. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, we in the NDC love our dear nation, Ghana. We shall neither prize partisan politics above policy, nor personal interests above patriotism. Therefore, we shall continue to engage our members of parliament, civil society organizations, religious organizations, organized labor, and all stakeholders to fashion out a viable and sustainable alternative strategy to save Ghana's economy and democracy. Saving our economy also means saving our democracy. So we expect the president to drastically cut down the size of his government to signal a new beginning. We further expect the government to be tolerant to dissent, heed the calls for implementation of the Constitutional Review Committee recommendations, eschew profligacy, desist from nepotism and corruption, sanction corrupt officials, and be honest about the true state of the nation. My brothers and sisters, it is obvious that President Akufo-Addo, who continues to revel in the largesse of high office, does not appreciate the present-day reality of the Ghanaian people. The president continues to live in his own world, far removed from yours and mine, that he fails or neglects to appreciate the true state of the nation. It is absolutely important to awaken President Akufo-Addo and the ruling MPP to the uncomfortable but frank true state of Ghana today. A nation of many living in fear of where to find their next meal, leaving many parents to endure sleepless nights. The true state of our dear nation no longer lies in flowery speeches laced with political chicanery that never accept responsibility for anything. Neither does it lie in the abstract theories that blame personal feelings on events that have no significant impact on our lives. The true state of the nation is when a ball of kenke, which used to sell between 50 pesos and 1 cedi in December 2016, is now being sold or between 4 cedis and 5 cedis. The true state of Ghana is that a sack of maize, which used to sell for 170 cedis in 2016, is now being sold for 900 cedis as at February 2023. The true state of the nation is where a bag of Jindo rice, 5 kilos, which used to go for 25 cedis in December 2016, is now being sold for 185 cedis. Similarly, a tuber of yam, which used to sell for 5 cedis, is now being sold for 25 cedis. While a bag of sachet water, which used to sell for 1 cedi 50 pesos, in 2016 is now being sold for 10 cedis as at February 2020. Also, a bag of cement, which sold for 27 cedis in December 2016, is today selling at a staggering 90 cedis. And last but not the least, even sanitary pad, which used to sell for 2 cedis 50 pesos in December 2016, is today selling for 20 cedis. When everything is said and done, this is the true state of our nation, Ghana. This is what we feel when we go to the market. This is what we feel in our pockets. This is our everyday reality. A reality in which babies do not have vaccines, leading to a measles outbreak. The youth do not have jobs. The middle class faces imminent extinction. The elderly are being deprived of their life savings by the very government that swore to protect them. This is not the Ghana we deserve. This is not the Ghana our forebears toiled and sacrificed for. The NDC shall not be complicit in this mess. We are determined to work assiduously with the Ghanaian people through our superior, patriotic policy alternatives and impressive track record to rescue our dear nation from the abyss. We are certain, with God on our side, we shall succeed. Thank you very much, and may God bless our homeland, Ghana.
Shall we give our national chairman another rousing round of applause? And while at it, Mr. Soundman, get ready to play Yanarai Assassini. Please, shall we resume our seats? We shall sing that before we leave the auditorium. Wow, what a speech. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe you would agree with me that address you just listened to reflects accurately the true states of our dear nation. Thank you very much, our national chairman and leader, for that brilliant presentation. I don't know what the key highlights were for you, but for me the key highlight was a statement the national chairman made that hopelessness, recklessness, corruption, and leadership paralysis define the current state of our nation. And then the one which I'm sure all of us will not forget as we leave this auditorium. He says, Ghanaians have come to realize that the claim by the president that he knew how to revive a dead economy was what? The claim that we are a proud nation and that we were never going to go to the IMF was what? The promise by the president that there will be no haircuts was also what? The promise to build 88 district hospitals within 1 year was what? The Agenda 11 hospital project was what? The promise to abolish road tolls was what? The promise to convert toll booths into ultramodern public toilets was what? And the claim that there was a global shortage of childhood vaccines was what? Thank you very much. Let's give our national chairman another round of applause. Now, I want to once again acknowledge all the media networks who are streaming live this very important program on their channels. In Bunu East, we've been live on Akina Radio, Winners FM, Zone FM, Atobu FM, Fabia FM. In the Western North region, we've been live on Akwaba FM. In the Bono region, the region of the national chairman, we've been live on Tyne FM and Estroma FM. In Upper West, we've been live on Home Radio. We've been live on Radford FM, WFM, Gulu FM, Tumpani FM, and Radio Mark. In the Western region, we've been live on Sharp FM, Radio 360 FM, Empire FM, Spice FM, Western Radio, Royal FM, Adwempa FM, and Trinity FM. In Savannah, we've been live on Inkligi FM, Kasha FM, and Magic FM. Again, I want to recognize some of the leading members that I didn't initially recognize, leading members of the NDC. I see a man who is a mentor to some of us, and a guide, Uncle Tutu Kwachi is here. A round of applause for him. We also have another leading member, Mr. Idiana is here. A round of applause for him. Honorable Sylvester Tete is here. Oh, and then we have one of the aspirants in the presidential primaries of the great NDC here. Dr. Kwamna Dofo is here. A round of applause for him. Yes, yes. And then we have all of you here. A round of applause for yourselves. I want to especially recognize the team that worked hard to make this program possible. Recognize the contribution of Comrade Jos Taribawa, Comrade Stan Dogbe, Dr. Maneboama, my brother Felix Ofosukwache, Uncle Tutu Bikwache, my sister Ubobia Dakon, and our General Secretary, Honorable Fifi Kwete. But let me especially, very, very specially, recognize the support the NDC Minority Caucus, led by Dr. Ato Forson, gave to this program. This program was made possible by their support. I'm sure we've all enjoyed the exceptional and brilliant presentations they have made on the so-called State of the Nation address that was presented by President Akufo-Addo to Parliament. Haven't we? They've done excellently well. A round of applause for our MPs. Mr. Soundman, is the sound ready? Okay, so before we take the closing prayer, shall we rise on our feet and sing Yenara Assassini? Yenara Assassini.
Rod, you're welcome back. And that's where we draw